So the idea behind this lecture, the seeds of this lecture, came from research I did last summer on economics and socialism and what those were all about. And in that research, I came across a poll, some research by the Victims of Communism Memorial. It's a 2020 poll, and it indicated that 49% of Gen Z thinks that socialism is a viable economic structure in one form or another. It also went on to indicate that they really don't know what socialism is, and that's why they think that it is a good thing. So when you look into this, you ask yourself, well, why is this and what's the problem here? Well, some people are putting out articles, and Gen Zs are looking at this and they're saying, well, the Bible teaches socialism. And because the Bible teaches socialism, we should be socialists and we should advocate for democratic socialism in whatever form that may take. So I looked into that, and basically the basic answer is no, the Bible does not teach socialism. And that really gets into sort of a nuanced discussion of linguistics, normative and descriptive, and basically some of the main scripture verses that people point to and say, well, this indicates socialism. They're not normative, they're not imperative, they're descriptive. So I felt like this lecture was important because, hey, I teach Gen Zs, and Gen Zs seem to think that socialism is an acceptable form of governance. And I felt like we needed to get to the root of that and have a conversation about it so that my students knew that this was not the way to go. So it's important to have conversations about these types of topics because culturally and politically in the country right now, we seem very, very divided, what we would call tribal. And members of one tribe don't communicate with members of another tribe, and we seem to be at war and things are getting very contentious. And it is important that, the truth is still the truth. And it's important that young people and older people understand what the truth is. Now, the Bible speaks to this and says, my people perish for lack of knowledge of my word. That dives back into the teaching that, the early church was socialist, and so we should be socialist. Well, as I stated earlier, no, the Bible does not say that, but it's important that we give our youth, that we give the population the truth, the tools that they need to discern whether or not these things are actually worthwhile and viable. So college students trying to navigate current events or find out what's going on in the world, step one is actually read the newspaper and read what stories are happening. Pay attention to the news, and don't just pay attention to one news source, but pay attention to multiple news sources, preferably more conservative sources and also some more liberal sources so that you can get sort of a more holistic understanding of what the events are. And furthermore on this, don't accept what's being told to you at face value. Do the research. Look into the premises behind some of these arguments to find out what the actual truth is. So challenges that I see Christians facing now and in the future, that's a very broad and touchy question. What I would suggest is that we are seeing some personal liberties eroding. We are seeing some religious liberties being infringed upon. And much of that, in my opinion, ties back to the simple fact that people don't really know the truth. They don't understand the Constitution. They don't really know the Bible. We have lots of young Christians that love Jesus that don't necessarily actively read their Bible and try to understand the context of it from a traditional sense. We see a pushing toward live your truth and have your own thing in this postmodern worldview. And And that's a very real challenge, because there is a universal truth. There is one truth. It is God's truth, and that's important to keep in mind, and that's important to defend. I think that things that people can do and Christians can do to engage in politics is to be open, to listen, to engage in conversation respectfully. There is still a place for respect and courteous debate in the marketplace of ideas. And I think that that's what Christians need to do. And stand firm on your principles.